In 2019, Washington sent a message to the Netherlands. Not to a ministry, not to a diplomat, to a company. The message was simple: do not let that machine reach China. Weeks later, the export license disappeared, somewhere inside ASML's assembly facility in Veldhoven. Engineers had spent months calibrating one of those machines. 100,000 components, verified, aligned, ready for shipment. And then, the order came down. It wasn't leaving. With that decision, the United States drew the most consequential technological boundary in modern history. Not at a border crossing, not at a port, inside a factory floor in a Dutch city of 44,000 people. Because the machine they were talking about isn't just hardware. It is the single biggest choke point in modern technological civilization. Most of the advanced chips powering the AI boom were born inside it. The processors running the models reshaping entire industries. The silicon at the heart of next-generation weapons systems. All of it depends on one kind of machine, built by one company, that almost no government had treated like strategic infrastructure. Until suddenly, they had to. And right now, America is trying to finish what that 2019 decision started. China is racing to make the entire conversation irrelevant. And the machine in the middle keeps running, 50,000 times per second. To understand why this machine matters, you need to understand what it's actually fighting. Every chip is a map of billions of tiny switches, crammed onto a piece of silicon the size of a fingernail. The smaller the switch, the faster the chip. The faster the chip, the smarter the AI. The smarter the AI, the more dominant the nation controlling it. This is not metaphor. This is the arithmetic of geopolitical power in the 21st century. So the question becomes, how do you make the switches smaller? The answer is light. You print the circuit pattern using light, a stencil, projected onto silicon. The shorter the wavelength, the finer the detail. And this is where physics starts pushing back. By the late 1990s, chip makers had hit a wall. The wavelengths they were using were too long. The circuits couldn't shrink any further. To break through, you'd need a completely new kind of light source, one operating at just 13.5 nanometers. For comparison, a single human hair is 80,000 nanometers wide. This light would need to be nearly 6,000 times thinner than that. It is called extreme ultraviolet light, EUV. And physics had a long list of reasons it couldn't work. EUV is absorbed by almost every material known to science. Glass lenses? Useless. EUV is absorbed immediately. The air itself absorbs it completely. Even conventional mirrors fail. Every major company on the planet ran the numbers. Nikon stepped back. Canon stepped back. One by one, the most capable engineering firms on Earth looked at what it would take and walked away. But one company didn't. A small Dutch firm called ASML, headquartered not in Silicon Valley, not in Tokyo or Seoul, in Veldhoven, Netherlands, a city most people couldn't find on a map. ASML decided to fight physics for 20 years. But even as they were fighting physics, a second problem was forming. One no one was paying attention to. If they succeeded, the machine would become impossible to replace, and nobody had thought about how dangerous that would become. The problem was generating the light. Physics said you couldn't. ASML found a way to create it so violently that physics had no choice. Here is what happens inside the machine. A laser fires, one of the most powerful industrial lasers ever built. 30 kilowatts of CO2 energy. It fires 50,000 times per second. Each pulse targets a droplet of liquid tin. Each droplet is 25 microns across, 1/3 the width of a human hair. The first pulse hits the droplet and flattens it. The second pulse, the main pulse, strikes at full power. The tin doesn't melt. It doesn't boil. It becomes plasma. And for a fraction of a second, that plasma burns at 220,000 degrees Celsius, 40 times hotter than the surface of the sun. In that same fraction of a second, it releases a burst of EUV light. Now the machine has to do something that should be impossible. It has to capture that light. But EUV is absorbed by air, so the entire interior operates in a vacuum, and instead of lenses, which would be instantly useless, the machine uses mirrors. But not ordinary mirrors. Each one is polished to a tolerance so extreme that if you scaled it to the size of Germany, the largest imperfection allowed would be the height of a golf ball, among the most optically precise objects ever manufactured. And even then, physics keeps fighting. The tin plasma creates debris with every single pulse, contamination at the atomic scale, building up on every surface, degrading the mirrors, narrowing the margins. The machine is not just printing chips, it is constantly losing a slow war against its own process, against heat, against vibration, against contamination measured in individual atoms. And it has to win that war 50,000 times every second. This was not one invention, it was 10,000 inventions stacked on top of each other. Over 100,000 individual parts, sourced from nearly 800 suppliers across dozens of countries. The optics from Zeiss in Germany, the laser from Trumpf, also in Germany, the light source system from an American company, ASML, acquired specifically to keep this technology inside the partnership. Each module built at one of 60 ASML facilities worldwide, shipped to Veldhoven for final assembly, then disassembled again, loaded into 40 freight containers, placed onto 3 cargo planes, transported on 20 trucks, reassembled on site by ASML engineers. It took 20 years to build the first one that worked. 20 years of near collapse, of competitors walking away, of ASML selling stakes in itself to Intel, Samsung, and TSMC, just to keep the research alive long enough to prove it was possible. There is no backup plan. There is no second source. If ASML stopped, advanced chip manufacturing would slow dramatically. There is only one company that makes this machine. ASML holds a complete monopoly on EUV lithography, and that monopoly, which took 20 years and billions of dollars to build, became the most powerful lever in the US-China technology competition, almost by accident. The cascade started in 2019. Washington signaled to the Netherlands ASML was preparing to ship its first EUV systems to China. The Dutch government refused the export license. The machines never arrived. Analysts began estimating the impact. Restricting EUV access, some concluded, pushed China's leading-edge chip manufacturing back by a decade or more. Not by force, by removing one piece of equipment they couldn't build themselves. China didn't accept that. China accelerated. Chinese companies began stockpiling ASML's older machines, the DUV generation, the ones not yet restricted, buying them in bulk, as fast as possible. By mid-2024, China accounted for nearly half of all ASML revenue in a single quarter. Not because demand spiked, because they saw what was coming, and they were right. The Netherlands expanded restrictions. Advanced DUV machines joined the banned list. China's share of ASML revenue dropped from nearly 50% to around 20% by 2026. And then the United States moved to finish it. On April 2, 2026, a bipartisan group of US lawmakers introduced the Match Act, the multilateral alignment of technology controls on hardware. Senate companion legislation followed days later, backed by members of both parties. 3 weeks after introduction, the bill cleared the House Foreign Affairs Committee. Described by lawmakers as the largest semiconductor export control markup in congressional history. It has not yet become law, but the direction it points is unmistakable. The Match Act doesn't just ban new machine sales, it bans maintenance, spare parts, software updates. ASML technicians ever servicing equipment inside Chinese fabs again. And here is what that means in practice. These machines require intensive maintenance roughly every 6 months, calibration, replacement components, updates to keep the atomic scale war winnable. Without that, performance doesn't collapse overnight. It degrades steadily, relentlessly. The machines don't get destroyed. They slowly lose the war against heat, vibration, and contamination. The choke point doesn't require a weapon, it requires patience. But China had already seen this coming, years earlier, according to reporting from people with direct knowledge of the project. In a high-security facility in Shenzhen, a team of engineers had been working in secret for years. Sources described an environment of intense secrecy, workers operating under aliases inside the facility. Components sourced from older ASML machines acquired through secondary markets, auctions of equipment documented in China as recently as October 2025, optical systems developed at the Changchun Institute of Optics, light source research at Harbin Institute of Technology. The effort coordinated in part by Huawei, drawing on thousands of researchers across state institutes and private companies. In early 2025, according to those reports, the machine became operational. It has not yet produced working chips, but it generates EUV light. China's stated target, working chips by 2028. People close to the project say 2030 is more realistic. In April 2025, ASML's CEO said publicly that China would need many years to develop this technology. The reports from Shenzhen suggest the timeline may be compressing, faster than anyone has publicly acknowledged. Step back from the details for a moment. In 2019, Washington sent a message, not a missile, not a sanction, a signal, to a Dutch company in a city of 44,000 people, to let an export license expire. That is the line that defined the technology Cold War. A machine the size of a bus, that vaporizes a tin droplet 1/3 the width of a human hair, at 40 times the temperature of the sun's surface, 50,000 times every second, to generate light that lasts less than a microsecond. That prints circuits 6,000 times thinner than a human hair. The entire trajectory of the AI race, the contest for the next century of technological power, runs through that process. One kind of machine. One company, 20 years of failure before it worked. 800 suppliers whose combined knowledge makes it nearly impossible to replicate quickly. This is not a product, it is a cathedral built over 2 decades by a company that nearly went bankrupt building it, in a city that most of the world still cannot find on a map. Right now, in Veldhoven, ASML is assembling at least 60 new machines this year, each one shipped on 3 cargo planes, each one destined for a fab that will use it to print the transistors that run the next decade of human civilization. Right now, in Shenzhen, engineers are working toward 2030, rebuilding what took others 20 years, inside one of China's most secretive semiconductor projects. Right now, in Washington, lawmakers are pushing legislation, not just to block China from future machines, but to cut off the engineers who keep the existing ones alive. 3 forces, 3 clocks, all running simultaneously. Somewhere in Veldhoven right now, an engineer is calibrating a mirror, polished to tolerances that don't exist anywhere else on Earth. The machine will ship in weeks. It will print the circuits that power the next generation of AI, the next generation of everything. And on the other side of the world, another team is trying to figure out how. The question is no longer whether China wants to replicate this machine. They are already trying. The question is whether the country that learned to copy the impossible will one day no longer need permission to build the future.